Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Italy. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the press conference of the observation mission concerning the presidential elections 2021. For the international scene, COVID-19 launch of the vaccination campaign in Libya. The Djibouti National Assembly is in mourning. It has lost a member who was very dear to it. The Honorable Ali Sheikh Burhan has left us as a parliamentarian for 8 years. He held his positions with passion and convictions, as well as the presidency of the Fruit Parliamentary Group. He leaves a great void behind him. The President of the National Assembly, in his own name and in the name of all the member and the staff of the Parliament, expressed his deepest condolence to his wife, his children and grandchildren, as well as to his entire family. May God welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The president of the Fruit Party, Ali Mohammed Daoud, known as Jean-Marie, has said this is a very sad news as Ifat was bearing down on our comrade after the death of Mohammed Adoita. I had just learned with surprise and great emotion the death of our comrade Ali Shahin Burhan, who died this Saturday, April 10, 2021, following a short illness due to COVID-19 virus at about 9 p.m. in the Sudanese hospital. The Fruit is in mourning because it has just lost the president of its parliamentary group and one of its illustrious freedom fighters and on an independence fighters of the first hour, who participated in all the struggles for emancipation of our country. Our illustrious comrade passed away in his 70s in the Sudanese military hospital. He was a founding member of the Associations for the Future of Youth and of the UDC. He was an independence fighter from the very beginning and a freedom fighter is Ali Shahin Burhan, who was involved in all the struggles for freedom and democracy. As an independence fighter, he had militated and led the popular movement for liberation MPL for the accession of our country to the national sovereignty. As a political activist and leader, he was one of the main leaders of the FDLD for the advent of democracy and the rule of law. Finally, as a leader within the Fruit movement, he embodied the politician who directed and organized the internal resistance with formidable efficiency and ensured that the aspirations of the militant and sympathizers were respected and that the principles of freedom, democracy and justice, the founding principle of the movement, were upheld. Ali Shahin Burhan was an humble man, humanistic, full of energy, easily accessible, very appreciated by the activists and the population of the working class areas of Djibouti, especially vulnerable people, women and youth, for whom he led relentlessly and with great determination as a resolute fight for the right and emancipation in the National Assembly. Ali Shahin Burhan was one of the parliamentarians who enriched the political debate and who encouraged the member of parliament to dare and to be worthy of their mission. He devoted a large part of his life to associative commitment to the promotions of sports and to the political struggle, but also to culture, to serving others, and to the duty of memory, courageous, very generous and sympathetic political strategist. Ali Shahin Burhan will be greatly missed and will leave a great void. Rest in peace, comrade Ali. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The IGAD Executive Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Workney Gebeyu, has congratulated His Excellency President Ismail Omar Guelleh on his successful re-election in the April 9, 2021 elections as a President of the Republic of Djibouti. Dr. Workney wished the Djiboutian leader good health and said that President Guelleh brings vision and leadership to IGAD in its ambition to strengthen peace and security and deepen regional integration. This well-deserved victory is a testimony to the outstanding achievement of your leadership, especially in the area of infrastructure development, unity and Djiboutian nations and regional peace building. His Excellency Workney said in his congratulatory message, President Gelle's leadership and wisdom are needed to continue efforts for regional peace and economic development. Dr. Workney added IGAD has deployed a 16-member short-term election observation mission for the elections. The prefect of Ali Sabih region, Mr. Musa Adam Migani, and the president of the regional council, Omar Ahmed Wa'ais, the parliamentarian of the region, addressed their warm congratulations and best wishes of success to the president of the republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, for his re-election to the Supreme Magistracy. The president of the Djiboutian diaspora in France, Mr. Mohamed Adan Bouka, addresses on behalf of the diaspora of France and in his own name his warm congratulations and best wishes for success to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, for his re-election to the Supreme Magistracy following the presidential elections of this Friday, April 9, 2021. Mr. President said, despite your right to rest after so many years in the service of our country, you have decided to respond to the patriotic call that was made to you on December 17, 2020, by the youth as well as by the rest of our nation. Mr. President adds the President of the Djiboutian diaspora in France, Mr. Mohamed Aden, we are today witnesses of changes and economic development has experienced the country under your leadership after having definitively rooted peace in the countries. You have worked tirelessly to its economic recovery. You have modernized their infrastructure and reformed the institutions for us, the diaspora in France. The progress made is obvious. Many of us are tempted to return to France to accompany the development of our country. The observer mission of the IGAD, the African Union, and the Organizations for Islamic Cooperation of the presidential elections of April 9, 2021, which saw a clear victory of the UNP candidate, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, according to the provisional result of the Ministry of Interior, have today given a preliminary report on the observer they made on the great majority of the polling station. The African Union mission was deployed in Djibouti and the 5 regions of the Arab League in the capital and the 2 regions of Ali Sabih and Arta. The IGAD mission was deployed in the municipality of Djibouti, the region of Arta and Ali Sabih and Tajura. All the missions noted that the presidential elections of April 9 to the share of the 2 candidates, the UNP candidate Ismail Omar Guelleh and the independent candidate, took place in a climate of calm, security and stability. The serenity during the elections was well respected in all the polling stations visited by the 4 observation missions. Let's listen to the head of the IGAD observer mission, Mr. Siraj Fegesa.
Election observation mission visited 122 polling stations across the 4 regions of Arta, Ali Sabi, Tajura, and Djibouti City and made the following observations on election day. Most polling centers opened on time at 6 a.m. with adequate election materials. There were some polling stations that opened later at 6:30 a.m. IGAD election observers generally had free access to the polling stations. Most of electoral officials demonstrated a good understanding of their roles and responsibilities in the area of observed. Voters' turnout progressively increased throughout the day. The observers noted high level of participation of women as voters. Women were also visible in the polling stations, both as polling officials and party agents. The observers noted the absence of domestic civil society observers in the polling stations visited. The observers' mission noted that the security environment during the election was peaceful, with no incidents recorded. Police officers and gendarmes were present near polling stations in large numbers. The mission observed the poll counting process was conducted in a peaceful and orderly manner. In most of the polling stations visited, there were either hand-washing facilities or sanitizers. Based on the above-mentioned observations, the IGAD Election Observation Mission presents the following recommendations to Seni. Further strengthen voter education and training of election officials on the election process and their respective roles, as well as the role of other stakeholders such as election observers. Improve secrecy of the ballot by instituting systems such as providing a proper disposal mechanisms for unused ballots with the polling station, as well as ensuring that ballot envelopes can be sealed. To the government, encourage participation of civil society based on what the mission has observed on the conduct of the presidential election in Djibouti held on 9th of April 2021. The IGAD Observers Mission is of the view that the election was conducted in peaceful and orderly manner.
The head of the observer mission of the African Union, Mr. Ahmed Tidjan Soare, said in his statement that the presidential election of Friday, April 9, 2021 was held in a calm and peaceful atmosphere from the opening of the polling stations until the closing. More than 115,680 Djiboutians registered for the election. There were 529 polling stations grouped in the 85 centers spread across the countries. In the capital, the participation in the election amounted to 16%, and all the merit goes to the president of the polling stations who worked in good condition. The national and international media, such as RTD, Africa 24 and France 24 have all participated in the media coverage of this election. RTD has carried out its mission well since the campaign under the supervision of the National Commission of Communication (CNC), which has set up 16 seconds for each party for the broadcasters on the national airwaves, but the independent candidate has not organized many meetings for the presidential campaign, and RTD has respected the schedule of the independent candidate for the broadcasting in general. In general, the 2021 presidential election in Djibouti has been held in good condition. The observer mission of the League of the Arab States for the presidential elections of Friday, April 9, 2021 in the Republic of Djibouti has submitted the election report written in two languages, Arabic and French. The head of the observer missions of the Arab League of the League of Arab States, Mr. Munir Al-Fassi, handed over this morning at Kempinski the report of the presidential elections of Friday, April 9, 2021 to the presidential of the National Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. Farah Abdullahi Waliye. The ceremony was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohamed Ali Hassan, and the Secretary General of the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Siraj Umar Abdul Qadir. We learned with regret the death yesterday evening in Djibouti of the late Mohammed Sanalase Sheikho, a retired gendarmerie officer and aide-camp to the late President Hassan Guled Abtidon, born in 19 36 in Tajura. The deceased leaves behind him 7 children and several grandchildren. May God welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, vaccination campaign launched in Libya, the National Center for Disease Control in Libya launched a vaccination campaign against the COVID-19 pandemic on Saturday. The vaccination started in the capital Tripoli with Libyan Prime Ministers Abdul Hamid Dbeiba and Health Minister Ali Zanati as the first people to be vaccinated in the country. The center said in recent days the Libyan government announced that it had received 300,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines, urging people to register online to be vaccinated. According to Zanati, priority for vaccination will be given to medical staff treating COVID-19 patients in isolation unit, followed by the elderly people with chronic disease, and then medical staff in different hospital and medical center. The total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Libya to date is 166,988, in which 152,000 have been cured and 2,800 have died, according to the Libyan National Center. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.